let's then move on to somebody you are bound to just be gushing over,
Oh, head over heels.
and that is Swedish manager, a manager in the first division of Sweden. That's like the negative first division of
It's
American
like
soccer. It's like three levels higher than MLS.
it's basically like he's Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, I mean he might as well. He might as well. His name is Olof Mellberg. So at this point, you're probably thinking, Melberto. His name is Mellberg, and you'd be absolutely right. There is a non-zero chance that in the hype of the Red Bulls win, I may or may not have mistyped the words Mellberg 2 as one word and didn't realize it and never did my research to fix it. So as you hear me struggle for the rest of the time with this name, just know I am sorry and we will fix it next time. See you later, Andrew. And he is the new head coach of St. Louis. They filled their coaching vacancy. They went in a different direction from Hackenworth. They signed the Swedish manager from the first division of Sweden. He was most recently a coach at IF Brahma Pojkarna.
I'll
Yep,
tip the hat that you even attempted it.
Brahma Pojkarna. A team that Connor actually knows really well, probably because he's done a football manager save with them at some point. And he also, from his favorite European team, has a goalkeeper on loan there. There's a Chelsea goalkeeper, Lucas Bergstrom, who you obviously know very well, being a
I do
Chelsea
know who that
player.
is. Yeah, he's a
And
massive man. He's a skyscraper of a man. He's like
is he
six
really?
seven.
That's funny. Well, he's 6'7" and on loan in Sweden. St. Louis beat out a ton of other clubs to the Swede signature, including the Swedish national team, who, to my very quick research, because this happened just a few hours ago, like 10 months ago, there were Swedish papers who were basically saying, yep, he's in. They were that he is going to be the next national team manager and he's got all the tools and talking him up a really big game, and he ended up turning it down. But that's how close he was to being a national team manager. He does carry a very less than stellar record, 1.2 points per game in 70. But he does play with a style that the St. Louis front office really likes in counter press and high energy. He can make a lot happen with not a lot, according to Manuel V of transfermarket.com. And we'll dive into that a little bit more later, but I do want to know your thoughts on the move.
So I think from what I remember reading is the team that I'm not even going to bother to pronounce, the one that Andrew probably butchered, but fair enough,
No,
we're
I
not
killed it.
Swedish. I believe he brought them up the ranks like multiple divisions lower up to the top division in Sweden. I believe they had back-to-back promotions. And I mean, that can't be overlooked. Like, regardless of the level of those leagues, to go back-to-back promotions is massive, and it's a testament to your coach. So I think it's a good that's at least a good sign. What I'm a little bit worried about is two things. I guess recent form in terms of points per match doesn't look great. I mean, I get that he's probably working with a team that's well under budget of a lot of the top teams in Sweden. And seems to at least be keeping them up in the league. So that's certainly a good thing. But the other thing I'm a little bit worried about is just being too kind of like stuck in one like area of coaching, like one area of the world of coaching. Like if he comes over and let's say the tactics that he brings over doesn't work out, does he have the tools necessary to try something different? Or is he kind of stuck with this one way of playing because he's only coached in like, I don't know. There's a couple other teams on here. I don't know if they're Swedish, so I don't want to say he's only coached in Sweden, but I'll say potentially only coached in Sweden. It's like guys that have been, stuck in MLS for forever. Guys like Greg Berhalter, right? Like I think we've seen that Greg does not have the capabilities to switch it up if things are not going right. He kind of just sticks with his method and sees if it works out. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But that's my only concern. If his tactics come over and they're not working, does he have it in the tank to switch it up and do something different? I said it before with Mastrano. I like the idea of bringing in new ideas to the league. I think recycling the same failure managers in this league is not going to help develop players and build up the league more. So, as you said before, It's not something that's necessarily against American coaches, but I like the idea of bringing in some new ideas, some fresh ideas. So I like that part of it. I think there's goods and bads to it. It just feels very off-brand for St. Louis. It's like what you've gone all Bundesliga all the time, and then it's like, all right, we're gonna bring in a Swedish manager. Like, all right, the guy didn't even play in the Bundesliga at all.
Damn. If you don't play in the Bundesliga, what's the point, right?
I mean, if you don't play in the Bundesliga, you might as well be banned from St. Louis, the
Yeah,
whole city.
we should. I mean, based on your thought process, you might as well just be banned from the MLS, right? If you're not European, you shouldn't even play in the MLS.
No, you could play in the MLS. You can't. You just can't coach in the MLS.
Um, well, here's my thing, right? St. Louis, they have this history of bringing in players that nobody's ever heard of and turning them into decent or even solid MLS options. So why can't they do that with a coach, right? They continue this splurge into an area of high interest for MLS clubs as of late. MLS loves Sweden, Norway, Denmark, like that. That's been a high area of focus for them recently. But it's quite clear that Mellberg, pronounce that properly, has a ton of upside and potential, right? Like they like his play style so much that they're able to look past the fact that he's only got 1.2 points per game. According to the transfer market article, that he outperformed his squad value by such massive margins that only three other clubs had a better point to market value rank. If he can do this much with that little, I would be interested to see what he can do with top level individuals that St. Louis has already compiled in their team, right? Roman Berkey, Hartel, Klaus, Leuven. Like he's got talent there that I don't think he ever would have seen in Sweden. So and he's got decent playing experience too, right? He was in
Yeah,
Spain and he was
he
in England
played at
with
Juve.
he was at Italy. I mean, Greece, all over the place, right? So
Yeah,
he's got good. You're talking about like not being able to adapt to things. He's played in a bunch of different systems, so I'm sure his adaptations are going to be okay. I'm not super worried about that in that sense, but I'm just not worried, but I'm interested to see how he handles not having to play with a bunch of, go up against the likes of Malmo with,
yeah. He doesn't
a
have the
bunch of
David versus
teenagers.
Goliath every single game.
Yeah, literally.
No, I think that's a good point. I mean, I think what he's been able to accomplish with what he was given is definitely something that I look forward to seeing him come in and seeing what he could do with like a more like well-established side with some more like high-profile players. But I think your point is also fair. Like, who knows what it looks like when he actually does have a team that doesn't have to fight an uphill battle potentially every single time. I think he's
Yeah.
done a good job with that one particular club, right? He's been to a couple of other clubs as a manager, but he's kind of also only like a one club guy. The one time that he had like any significant games on another club, it didn't look like it went very well. I mean, 0.92 points per match is not very good. So it'll be very interesting. I think it feels a little bit like a high risk, high reward kind of thing. Like it could pan out really well, but there's so many question marks that it's kind of hard to figure out how exactly it's going to pan out. But I'm on board for it. Try it out. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking here, right? They've got two players worth over $1 million on his team right now. And
It's a little fun fact that I accidentally stumbled upon.
I would love to hear
There's a
this.
Swedish striker right now named, I'm gonna butcher this, Victor
Yeah,
Gyökeres.
yeah, yeah,
How do you
Gjorkes.
pronounce it?
Gjorkes.
Gyökeres?
He's at a CP, right? Sporting
Gyökeres?
C. Yeah, Sporting CP.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So our boy Olaf over here actually coached him back in
hardcore.
2016 on this team.
There you go. He's already in.
So, I mean, he's clearly a player developer because, I mean, where would he be without him?
Player developer. Think about the connections. You now just put St. Louis in the running against Real Madrid, Chelsea, Man United, Man City to sign this guy. Insanity.
I mean, it's not out of the rule possibility. Gyökeres also played at St. Pauli, so Hartel could give him a ring too.
I mean,
I mean,
at this point, what are you waiting for, right?
I
But
mean, at
I'm
this
pretty
point, his flight's probably booked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Edward Leuven is worth roughly more than his entire team combined, if not Leuven plus Hartel, right? Like he's gonna have caliber to play with, he's gonna have talent to play with. Let's see what he can do with it.